Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, April 12th. I appreciate everyone taking the time out of their busy schedules to jump on this webinar. Hopefully there's going to be a lot of very useful and knowledgeable information here to help you guys better understand Fox Valley Metrology, a little bit more about the company and what we have to offer. So with that being said, let's jump right in here. As I mentioned, today's webinar is going to be focusing primarily on getting the most out of Fox Valley Metrology. My name is Austin Schultz. A little brief background of myself. Come the summer, I'll have been here for 5 years. Through that time, I've worn multiple hats on the customer service / sales side of the business, starting off as an outside sales, segueing into the customer service manager role, overseeing the internal sales team, and now my current position as customer success manager, helping to facilitate our onboarding process with new customers. So a little background on myself, as I appreciate you guys all being on the call here today. So a little bit of an agenda of what to expect here on the call. We'll be discussing a brief history of the company, the services that we provide. We'll be discussing Metrology 360, going over some frequently asked questions, and then following that up with some next steps. As you guys might notice, there is certainly a chat feature available to you. We want to be utilizing that if you guys do have questions that will come up during this webinar. I am joined by our VP of Sales, Steve Toll, who's going to be monitoring those. So if you do have specific questions that you're hoping to get answered, please feel free to ask those right now. And then as we start segueing through the different categories and topics we will be discussing, I'll be sure to stop and pause and see if there are additional questions to address at that time. This webinar is certainly going to be recorded, so if you do have colleagues or additional employees that might want to reference this or watch it, we will be sending that out to you guys after the call. So let's get right into it. A little bit about Fox Valley Metrology. Currently, we have 7 locations, as you can see here, scattered throughout the U.S. Started here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin in 1996. This is our headquarters. This is where it all began, a small little pop-up shop, and it has grown into what it has become now. So as I said, the Oshkosh, Wisconsin facility is our headquarters. We have our Stacy, Minnesota facility. There's a location in Rockford, Illinois, Fenton, Missouri, Crestline, Ohio, Monroe, North Carolina, and then our newest facility, which we just opened up here recently, is in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I might have butchered that name. It is a bit of a mouthful, but the short end of the story is that we have you covered regardless of where you guys might be located. As we move into this next slide here, there is a quick little graphic that shows the customers that are active within our database. As you can see here, it's pretty much all 50 states. We are also active in 23 other countries located throughout the world. This gives you a quick little overview of where we are and our presence within the United States. Fox Valley Metrology and the services we provide. Some of you might have come here first for calibration or seeking needs. That is essentially how we started and how the business was created. But as we have grown throughout the years, we've built upon our offerings to supply you guys with repair services, as also being there for you with your equipment sales needs. Our goal here at Fox Valley Metrology
is to be there with you guys through your guys' entire Gage life cycle, starting from the calibration to the repair, and then obviously the selling of the equipment that you guys are going to need as well. As I referenced before on that little graphic with our customers, that you had the visual of seeing where everyone was located. That equates to about a little over 6,000 customers annually. With that, in our database, we have about 120,000 calibration templates at our disposal that are traced back to NIST and ISO approved. Throughout the year, we average about 650,000 calibrations. So as you can see here, it's a pretty large number that keep us busy. So chances are, if you do have a Gage, more often than not, we do have the resources to calibrate that for you. Touching base on the calibration side of things. We have 5 specialized labs in each of our 7 locations. I'm going to get a little bit more in depth as far as what these labs all pertain, but just a quick walkthrough. You're going to have your hard gauge calibration, your hand tool calibration, electronic calibration, mechanical calibration, and then lastly, the dimensional inspection. As I said, we're going to walk through these and break them down a little bit more just so you guys fully understand what we do offer. So starting on the hard gauge side of things, just some common reference gauges here. Pin gauges, gauge blocks, your plug gauges, both threaded and plain, and then the ring gauges as well, threaded and plain for you. On the hand tool side of things, as you can see here, some pretty common usage tools, calipers, micrometers, indicators, bore gauge, height gauges, just to name a few. When we're discussing mechanical, these items are going to include your torque wrenches, your torque drivers, testers, segueing onto the pressure side of things, whether that be transducers or controllers or pressure gauges. Temperature and humidity, mass, which is going to include your weights and your scales. And then lastly, force gauges, tensile testers, that type of stuff. Now, when we discuss the electronic side of things, obviously it's going to be a little bit more higher end type stuff. Basically, we're going to be able to handle all and every type of a meter, oscilloscopes, time and frequency, stopwatches, timers, clocks, that type of stuff. High-end RF equipment, and then EMC equipment as well. So a lot of good stuff in there for you guys. Lastly, touching on the dimensional side of things. As our quality departments continue to grow and become higher with their tolerance that are expected, we're seeing more and more of these shops having these devices. So your CMMs, the vision systems, optical comparators, portable CMM arms, and then your stationary surface plates as well. That last slide obviously referenced a lot of items that are going to most likely be done at your facility. So that's going to segue us into our next slides here, which we will discuss a little bit more about our on-site capabilities. I do want a quick pause though, before we jump into that. If anyone does have any questions that I quickly discussed, please feel free to enter them into the chat feature, and I'll have Steven address them as so. So I'm going to give you guys a minute or so to see if there's anything that does pop up.
Yeah, we do have several questions that have come in, but they're going to be more pertinent to the Metrology 360 side of the equation. So,
all right. So we do see a couple questions coming in. Steve just informed me though that there are some that are going to pertain into the Metrology 360 side of things, which we will absolutely cover here very shortly. So I don't want to get ahead of myself here. So just be patient and I'll address those momentarily.
We did have a question regarding, do you have a pricing list available? We absolutely do. Bill had asked that question. I will make sure to get him that sent out after the meeting is over. Also, if anyone else is interested, please just let us know, and I'll absolutely be able to send that through.
Right. All right. There's no more coming in here. We can kind of continue on here. Discussing our on-site calibration services. So as I mentioned before in that previous slide, discussing more of the higher end accuracy capital side of equipment being calibrated. More often than not, those are going to be items that are obviously at your facility in which you can't ship to us. So we would come to you to calibrate those. So 95% or so of the capabilities that we have, we can also calibrate those to you guys on site. We have roughly just over 100 road technicians that are scattered throughout the United States at any given day. So whether your facility is right next to one of our locations or if it's farther away, chances are we have someone that can encompass that within their day-to-day on-site visits. At the end of the day, whether you guys decide to send in your caliper to our facility or you have us come directly to you, the price to calibrate that does not change. The only additional costs that are going to incur for on-site visits are going to be travel. Now, with that being said, travel is just a pass-through cost for us. At the end of the day, that's not how we generate our money. We hope to generate money by calibrating, not inflating our travel charges and passing them on to you. So moving on to the contact measuring side of things. First article inspection, CD scanning, PPAP, capability studies. Those are all stuff that we've recently started introducing into our breadth of calibration offering. We did just recently roll out on-site dimensional inspection and first article inspection services. So what that is we will be taking our portable CMM firearm directly to your facility. So if you need anything measured or scanned, we have technicians that can bring that level of testing straight to your guys' facilities. So we quickly discussed our on-site capabilities and in-house and on-site calibration. The next pillar of Fox Valley Metrology is going to be the repair services that we do provide. Each location does have dedicated technicians solely for evaluating and repairing your guys' broken and or damaged devices. So how that works is if we find a device to be out of tolerance or broken, or if you guys send in knowingly know that it's damaged, we will be looking at it, evaluating it, and then providing you guys with a quote to repair and or replace. If the damage of the unit is 50% or greater of the value of the device, we will also provide you guys with that replacement as well. No repair services are going to proceed until you guys accept or deny that quote. Touching base a little bit about failed calibrations, whether those items need repair or if they plainly can't be repaired. Regarding the hard gauge side of things, so if you have a plain ring, threaded rings or plugs that end up failing calibration, most often than not, those things can't obviously be brought back into tolerance. Our customer service team will automatically provide you guys with a replacement quote within 24 hours. So oftentimes customers will reply back asking, what is this for? And that's twofold, partly because they don't even realize that gauge has failed quite yet, or they just haven't been explained well enough. But we do automatically quote you guys as your replacement on certain hard gauge items. Essentially, that is just to help mitigate your guys' headaches dealing with all the additional vendors trying to find replacements for you guys on those particular items. So moving in on to the equipment sales side of things, primarily dealing with precision tools. As you can see from this graphic, there's a couple of the more popular, well-known vendors and manufacturers. Here at Fox Valley, we have roughly just over 100 different manufacturers that we represent. So at the end of the day, we are here to help you guys find the needs to your guys' gauging. So touching a little bit about some of the more precision tools that we offer. We also do offer capital equipment to purchase. So you're going to have your CMMs, which we represent Wenzel. For those unfamiliar with Wenzel, they are a German family-owned company. They do have a headquarters here in North America that's located just outside of Detroit. We've partnered with them primarily because of their high accuracy CMMs, as well as their untouched throughput that they offer with their devices. Moving on to the Starrett side of things. So Starrett is a manufacturer that we represent. I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with them. So we represent their vision systems, optical comparators, and then force testers as well. Touching again on CMMs. When it comes to portable CMM arms, Faro is going to be the manufacturer that we represent. All right, so before I jump into Metrology 360, I know there are a couple of questions that want to get addressed. But before I continue, I'll give you guys a minute if there are additional questions regarding the services that we provide, whether it be calibration, repair, or the selling of new equipment. Please feel free to ask those questions here at this time. Specifically with 360. All right, so it looks like there's no questions here, so we'll continue on forward. So we're going to talk a little bit more about Metrology 360. I'll give you a pretty quick tour of what to expect and essentially an overview of what exactly this is. So for anyone that is unfamiliar with Metrology 360, it's a highly advanced, free gauge management and vendor management software system. This was built by us. It is monitored by us. It is updated by us. So we have full control over what exactly this platform is. This was created a handful of years ago with the intent to reduce our customers' time managing their gauges and essentially the vendors that they deal with regarding their quality. As you guys will see here as we progress, there's a lot within this software. I just want to quick touch on the two different facades of this platform. So you have the gauge management side of things and then also the vendor management side of things. So the gauge side of things, this is where all of your guys' certificates are going to be housed. You can download, print, save. You're going to be able to track due dates via notifications. You can print labels. You can update your records, change calibration cycles, that type of stuff. And that also just helps you manage any sort of missing gauges through entering in locations and such. Touching a little bit more on the vendor side of things, it's going to allow you to track open jobs You'll be able to see status requests, where exactly in the process your gauges might be. You can request and also approve quotes. You can request on-site visits. You can request repair requotes. From the AP side of things, you guys are going to be able to manage and view all your invoices. And then lastly, creating packing slips as well. All right, I'm going to switch screens on over here now, so bear with me. I'm going to jump onto the Metrology 360 one for you guys. Can you see it? All right, just wanted to wait a minute so you guys can all view. All right, so essentially what we are looking at here when you guys first log into this website is your homepage. There's going to be a handful of widgets that you'll first be able to see. I also want to emphasize that this is totally customizable to you guys on an individual basis. So we understand that no customers are alike with their needs. So we've allowed the customizable features to kind of come to fruition with you guys. And we can get into that here further on. But a quick little overview. At the top screen, you're going to have 4 little boxes here. You're going to display your active gauges, your history, items that are due, and then this is pretty self-explanatory. These are items that have become overdue. You're going to have your open quotes widget, which if there were open quotes, you're going to be able to see the quotes. There's also a hyperlink that will allow you to view those. The calendar here is going to show you gauges that are coming due. If there is any sort of on-sites that are scheduled, these will also populate within this calendar field for you. And as we kind of continue on down, there's going to be some additional data features that you guys can monitor, such as expenses, how much you guys have spent on us, turnaround time. Here at Fox Valley, we preach our turnaround time, and that's something we monitor very, very closely. We also give you guys the ability to track that as well. So full transparency, we allow you guys to keep us honest. As we continue on down here, again, like I said, there's a lot more customizable widgets that you guys can play around with. I don't need to get too much further on those. Over here on this side of the screen, again, is going to show you the different features available. And I'm going to quick run through all of them. Underneath the calibration tab, that's probably where you're going to spend about 90% of your time within the database. As I had said, there's the active, history, and I want to emphasize the difference between those two. The active tab is only going to show you gauges that you're currently using or that are active. The history tab is going to show you your active, but it's also going to show you your data and your certificates for gauges that are no longer in use. So whether if you've lost them or you've replaced them, you still want to be able to access that information. You're going to have your due gauges, your overdue gauges, and then we have a tab that's going to combine both of those for you. And then lastly, as I was discussing on the customizable side of things here, you do have the ability to create custom views within your active screen. So I'm just going to quickly click on the active screen here. As you play around and go through all these, the view itself is going to be the same. It's just the data within those that it's going to change. So as you can see here, you're going to be able to see your certificate numbers, the dates that the calibration was done, your due dates, your gauge ID, the type, make, model, et cetera, et cetera. Again, as I was saying, these are all customizable fields. You do have the ability to add in fields that aren't displayed currently. You can add, remove them. You can change them around as far as the order you want. A lot of great stuff for you guys. you'll notice that there's some of them that are highlighted in blue. This is going to allow you to click and pop up the data. So as I was mentioning before, you guys have at your fingertips the ability to update certain fields within your gauges. So due dates, gauge ID, if a gauge is active or inactive, this is all stuff that you guys can change yourself. So as I was talking on, these different fields here are going to look almost identical as far as the active one, and still hold the same features as far as clickability and how you want to set things up. I'm going to go on down to the packing slip. This is really cool. So if your shipping department already has their own packing slip feature that they want to utilize, that's great too. But in here, this is going to basically insert all the data. So it cuts down on entering that in themselves. You can come up here and enter the gauge ID that you see fit. And it's going to automatically populate the data. It's going to print out a packing slip where things are going to be sent to, et cetera, et cetera. Got a question? All right, we got a question here, so I just want to pause it for a moment.
Yeah, so Austin, if you can go back to the calibration screen, go into the active view. So we had a couple questions coming in about where they can add notes and where they can change or correct locations. So if you want to walk through,
Perfect.
walk through those right away, quick.
Absolutely. Great questions here. So basically the question was, how do we add and update notes or change or update locations? So all of that is going to be housed within the actual gauge ID itself, the hyperlink. So I'm going to click on that. And as you go up here, you're going to see a handful of additional tabs. The custom tab right here, it may look blank for you, and that is because there hasn't been an additional field box created. If you need assistance with that, we can absolutely look into that at another time. The documents and imaging, this is going to allow you to upload a PDF and or a JPEG file. The history is going to show you all the associated previous calibration certificates. And then the eCrib history, I'll touch base on that here a little further on. Any more questions?
Well, showcase how to change the actual location and sublocation.
All right, so changing your guys' location and sublocations, as you can see here within this data tab, it's going to be that first tab that's going to default open when you click on your gauge ID. You're going to have two field boxes right here, your location and your sublocation. These are going to be customizable fields for you guys that you can come in here and insert whichever you seem fit. So production line 1. And then if there's sublocations, you could enter that in. Right, I'm just kind of giving you some examples here. So this will allow you to better pinpoint where your tools are located. Obviously, that doesn't take into account for this example where Steve might actually have put that gauge. However, for your own peace of mind, you can at least document where those gauges should be. Also, remember to certainly save before you exit out.
Austin, there was a question regarding where the cert is housed and accessed. So if you can show just very quickly where to access our certificate, and then if they wanted to upload any document, where they would be able to do so, and then find that later on.
Yep, absolutely. So, and this the same reference that your gauge IDs have that blue hyperlink, your certificates do as well. So you just need to click on the certificate itself, and it's going to open up the document. It'll allow you to print and or to download as a PDF for you. Now, let's say you have a document that you need to upload to this particular gauge itself. You're going to do that by going into and clicking on that particular gauge ID. And on this tab, it's going to have documents and imaging. And right here, it'll allow you to upload a PDF or a JPEG. So if you have a photo of the device, this is where you guys are going to house those files. All right, so we discussed the calibration side of things, the packing slip features. This next feature, the quotes, is going to be really handy for you guys. So we do have a dedicated team of 11 or so customer service representatives that are monitoring these requests. So as you come in, you can certainly request a quote, whether that be for calibration, you are looking to purchase new equipment, or if you need a repair quote, you can notify what exactly you're looking for. Again, if it's an existing ID gauge, you can come in here and enter that ID and it'll automatically populate the pertinent information. Otherwise, you can just come in here and double click and manually enter in any of the field boxes. If you have a file, whether that be an Excel file or a PDF file of your gauge list that you're looking to get quoted, you can click and drag right in here. And then we certainly do have a notes or instructions or a comment box if there's special, for example, calibration procedures that you want or test points that we need to be aware of. This is where you're going to come and let us know that information. Continuing on with the quote side of things, the little box here for on-site is just that. It's going to look and feel the exact same way. However, this is a request for us to come to your facility to calibrate devices. Again, you'll come in here, enter in the pertinent information, let us know if there's special instructions. Maybe if you're requesting a couple of available dates, that's all great stuff to let us know so we can work with you on that. So moving on down to the AP side of things here, your invoices are going to be housed. You can certainly search within a date range. You can search by certain categories and then enter in that value. Or you can come in here and just click on the actual hyperlink, which will populate your invoices for you. Again, you can print, you can download, you can save them all here as well. This next feature is pretty cool. A lot of times we're getting requests asking, hey, what's the status of this gauge? Or, hey, I need something back, as quickly as possible. Again, we allow you guys to watch or monitor our calibration process. So as you can see here, you're going to be able to see your job numbers, where they're located, which facility they're located at, when the job started, and the progress. This is detail part, which I expanded, is going to give you all the information within that job. It's going to tell you it was checked in, what exactly it was, where it's located at a facility, which lab it's located in, and then if it's calibrated already or not, it's going to also have the associated certificate number with you. I'm going to further expand on this. So as I said, I'm going to click on this job number hyperlink. Again, it's going to break down essentially what's all associated with this job. So we're going to have the quote associated with it. If there's any items that failed calibration, they're also going to be housed here. Any item that is in repairs, obviously the invoices, and then you're going to have tracking information as well. All right, the eCrib feature. This feature is a little bit different from the rest of Metrology 360. However, this is going to allow you guys to create some accountability within your quality department with individuals utilizing your gauges. So essentially, this is a library where quality personnel can come and check in and check out gauges that they're utilizing for any particular production needs. All right, so before I jump into frequently asked questions, I just want to pause for a moment to see if there's any additional Metrology 360 questions that we can go over. Again, I do want to reiterate, we do offer monthly webinars solely focusing on Metrology 360. It's going to be a lot more in-depth, a lot more detailed. Right now for the month of April, the next Metrology 360 webinar is for next week, the 19th. I'll send you guys out information on that if you'd like to register for that webinar as well. So with that being said, I'm going to quick pause for a minute to make sure there's not additional questions that I should address before I move on.
Yeah, there is one additional question, Austin, right now that I would like you to address. So if you go back to the calibrations and active screen, the question was about adding gauges that are not calibrated by FBM, whether they're calibrated by a third party or whether they're calibrated by the customer themselves. If you can go showcase how you would add a new calibration in, and then how you could add an additional record to that existing.
Perfect. Okay. Yes. Great question. So not only within this platform are you guys going to see the data that we provide you guys or our certificates. Again, we also offer that to you guys to utilize it for yourself, right? Whether you guys are internally calibrating items or if there's another vendor that's calibrating something, you guys have the ability to add this information into our software. There's a couple of ways that we can go about doing that, but I just want to quick point out regarding the certificates. As I scroll down here, you're going to notice that some of them start with an X, and as we continue on, some of them start with a C. The difference being that if it starts with a C, those are certificates that we, Fox Valley Metrology, have uploaded. If you see a certificate that starts with an X, that's going to indicate that that was a manually entered calibration or data that you guys yourself had entered in. So to do that, if you have a device that is new to this system, meaning we have not calibrated yet, or another vendor has not calibrated that yet, you're going to come on up here to this Add New Cal feature. When I click that, a box is going to populate. It's going to allow you to enter in all the pertinent information that's necessary for this calibration. Again, if there is a certificate another vendor has provided you guys, or whether that's your own internal forms that you guys are filling out, this is where you can come and scan and upload these to marry with that device that you're uploading into the system. All right, any additional questions coming in here? And again, I just want to preface the Metrology 360 webinar that's next week, Wednesday. We'll go into all of this stuff and much more. So if you still have some additional questions unanswered, please feel free to jump on that call. There's a lot more in-depth discussion to be had about that.
One more question. Can you speak about the data security backup system, etc.? We load all of our gauges on your system. We are completely dependent on your uptime backups, etc., etc., etc. So I can go ahead and address that. So as far as data security, we back up our data nightly. That data is backed up through a cloud hosting system that has 25 physical locations throughout the US, somewhere in that ballpark. It might not be exactly 25. Additionally, they're replicated across servers at all 7 of our facilities. And that backup does happen nightly. So it's quite secure in that regard. We've never had any instance where we've lost any data over 27 years now of the company being in existence. So it is very safe. It is very secure. However, I do recommend that if it is something that you are still a little bit concerned about, to periodically go in and download all of the data out of the database and store it in whatever locations that you would prefer. If you see kind of in the upper right screen there's a download all button. That's going to allow you to download every certificate out of your database right then and there. You can click export to export just the basically the grid in an Excel format. So I would recommend periodic backups of that, maybe quarterly, annually, whatever it may be, if that's a little bit more of a concern for you guys. So, and I believe that is it for questions. So Austin, if you want to go ahead, go back to the presentation and pick up on frequently asked questions.
All right. All right, I'm going to wait a minute here while the share screen uploads back to the PowerPoint. So we just did a brief overview of Metrology 360. Hopefully there's some key takeaways to that. Once again, there's an additional webinar next week, Wednesday at the same time. If you guys do want to jump onto that, there's a lot more to be had with that. So I'm going to get on to frequently asked questions. We'll continue on here. So there's a couple of different ways on how these next questions can be approached. And each one of them, there's no right or wrong way of doing things. So obviously I'm going to start with the first one, is how do I request a quote? We did just briefly go over that certainly can be accomplished via Metrology 360. However, we do have a generalized email inbox set up, and that is quotes at Fox Valley Metrology. I'm also going to quick preface that these next generalized email inboxes that I'm going to discuss, we'll also give you guys those at the end of the call, so you can reference them for future references. So again, how do I request an on-site? That can be accomplished via Metrology 360, or again, email to quotes at Fox Valley Metrology. How do I request a repair? Again, that can be done via Metrology 360 or emailed to us. Where do I send purchase orders to? As I briefly showed, that you can certainly attach purchase orders to Metrology 360. That can be accomplished when you first initially accept that quote online. It's going to ask you to attach a purchase order, or you can certainly come in and update that purchase order whenever you guys receive that on your end. You can also email that attachment to PO at Fox Valley Metrology. Once you do submit that to that email inbox, an individual will acknowledge you that has been received. How do I check the status, or can I get a status of my equipment? Again, that was briefly discussed. Can be done via Metrology 360 under your order status tab on the left-hand side. Or you can email our generalized inbox, which is production at Fox Valley Metrology. Invoices. How do I handle them? How do I view them? How can I get them? Again, you can reference Metrology 360 under the invoice tab, or you can email our billing team, which is invoices, plural, at foxvalleymetrology.com. Now just generalized questions. Who do I go to? Who do I contact? Here at Fox Valley Metrology, we are very aware of the fact that there's a lot of people that are involved through this process. We understand that it can be confusing on who should I reach out to or who can I contact. First and foremost, you can always go to your dedicated sales representative. However, I know oftentimes they might be busy, or they might be driving, or they might be held up in a meeting. So the response time might be a little off. So I do want to encourage you guys to utilize these different avenues to get the answers that you need. But speaking specifically on general assistance, you can always go to the contact us side of things on Metrology 360, or you can email support at Fox Valley Metrology. Again, as I had made the reference to, we do have a handful of generalized email inboxes set up to help facilitate kind of the flow of questions and information. So just to kind of quick recap these. So customer service side of things is going to be support. So admin updates, your due dates, Gage IDs, Metrology 360 questions, all that type of stuff would be a good avenue to utilize this email inbox. The quotes email is pretty self-explanatory. So whether you have a calibration quote that you want to send us, Gages, if you want us to come on site, if you're looking for repair quotes or to look to purchase, those can all be filtered through the quotes email. So the billing, the invoicing side of related questions, obviously send those straight to invoicing. Purchase orders is where you're going to want to send to PO at Fox Valley Metrology. And then status updates, job orders, that type of stuff is going to be utilized for the production email. Before I move on here, is there any questions on the last part we just discussed, primarily who to talk to, where to go for things, and getting that information? Please feel free to send in questions here. Anything coming in? All right, looks like we're all set on that side of things. I'll keep moving on. So next step, there's a little homework here. I want to encourage you guys to do here as we move on. So once you first get set up within Metrology 360, under the admin tab, there's going to be a user administration tab. In here, we give you guys the ability and the access to kind of manage the users within the database. So if you guys have an accounting person, right, they might only be needed to view invoices. We can come in here, first and foremost, update contact information, or to at least review and ensure that that's accurate, both from our standpoint and your standpoint, so we know who to get a hold of and how to get a hold of them. You're going to also have permissions that you can check or uncheck. So if the box is gray, that means that they do have those permissions turned on. So as I was referencing before, if there's someone within your AP department, they might not necessarily need to come in and be able to update your guys' certificates or your gauges. So you can come in here and uncheck the appropriate boxes for them. You're also going to see this notification side of things. So what is that? Is automated emails that go out to you as the individual. And there's two emails that we send out. You're going to have your calibration due notice and then your daily job summary notice. The calibration due notice is going to go out at the middle of the month. I believe it's on the 15th of each month. And that's just going to show you all upcoming gauges that are due to allow you to be a little bit proactive in getting those gauges packaged up or removed from the production line to get sent out to the calibration. The daily job summary is going to go out the following day after an item has been calibrated. And what that is going to essentially show you is the findings that we took with those devices. So if there's rejected gauges or if there's gauges that are on hold, you're going to view those almost instantly following the calibration. And again, I understand not everyone wants to receive those notifications, so you can certainly come in here and check or uncheck those boxes. Obviously, if they do receive those emails, there's an unsubscribe feature at the bottom of that email that they can just quickly click to remove themselves. As I've mentioned a handful of times here, I understand that there's probably additional questions on Metrology 360. Again, I just want to encourage you, next Wednesday, the 19th, same time, 10 p.m. Central, we will be hosting a more in-depth look at Metrology 360 and capabilities within that platform. After the webinar, we'll certainly send out a link for you guys to register if that is something that you guys are interested in. Lastly here, we do have a customer referral program. Here at Fox Valley, we found that the best way for us to continue our growth is by your guys' referrals, right? We hope that you guys have a great experience with us, and we obviously want others to share in that. So whether you have additional divisions within your company that are currently utilizing us, or if you have previous employers that you were at, if you guys refer them, we are offering a $100 referral bonus. For everyone that is currently on the call, we are actually upping that to $150 for you guys. If you have additional questions on this, certainly feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, I will show you how to refer someone after the call. As we wrap up here, I just want to thank everyone for taking the hour or so of their time out of their day to jump on the call and hear about Fox Valley Metrology, what we offer, and how we can better assist you guys moving forward. I'll certainly stay on the call here for additional questions that might come up. Otherwise, we will give you guys this webinar here once we hang up the email, so you guys can reference that to additional employees or reference back if you forgot something.